Okay, it's 4 o'clock my time over here. I hope my microphone sounds better this time. I got a new headset. And it's 3 p.m. UTC. So I think it's time for us to get started with this conversation with Artemis Market. It's a pretty interesting upcoming NFT marketplace that we've been talking to. And they have a lot of cool things going for them. But first of all, just a quick rundown on what's going to happen during this AMA. The first 30 minutes, we're going to talk, me and this fine gentleman from Artemis, Aris. And then we'll have a small lottery contest. Those guys who've been part of this AMAs previously knows that involves emojis, just pasting an emoji in the chat. And then the second half of this hour with Artemis, we're going to do the actual AMA where the listeners can ask questions directly to Aris at the Artemis Market. And then in the end, Artemis is going to pick the best question asked in the AMA, and that person will win a NFT. And it's an NFT from one of the partners of Artemis Market. So we could talk more about that later on, but it's a pretty cool NFT in my opinion. Keep in mind, the first contest, the lottery contest, is for Marinators only, and the prize is MND tokens. We'll go with 200 NFT tokens this time. NFT tokens, MND tokens this time around. So we'll go with one winner in the lottery contest. But more of that later on. So, Aris from Artemis Market, welcome to the AMA here, man.
Hi, thanks for having us here. We are very happy to come here to have the AMA with you guys.
Thanks. I've been looking forward to this myself. I am a fan of NFTs. Not all NFTs, but there's certain NFT projects I'm a fan of. Obviously, you guys see my profile picture. I was lucky enough to randomly get this SMB. It's done me well holding it. So I'm a fan of SMB, of course, but there's a lot of other really interesting NFT projects out there, and not only PFP projects. We're seeing this cool gamifications of NFTs and applying NFTs in games, etc., etc. So about Artemis Marketplace, this is a decentralized. Well, the aim is to go for a decentralized NFT marketplace, right? That makes it a little bit different from the existing ones. Is that correct?
So I think the angle here it's really firstly to make it a mobile first platform. So everyone spends all their time on the mobiles, but no one actually really spends a lot of time on their desktop, right? So I'm not sure if all of you have the experience where you want to buy an NFT or do you want to ape into something. You literally bring around your laptop and then you do it on your laptop while basically being anywhere, right? And that is super troublesome and the experience is super clunky. So by doing a mobile first application, right? So we basically aim to make it very convenient for people to show off your NFTs to your friends, to trade NFTs anywhere or anytime that you want. And one thing is important, right? It's you want to kind of ensure that every time when people show you the NFTs, right, it's not a screenshot that you save on your Apple photos, right? You want to flex that this is actually yours rather than just taking a screenshot and telling people this is yours. So with something with Artemis on mobile itself, right, then it gives the opportunity for you to really verify that NFTs are yours. You have a proper gallery there, and it really brings into the entire social aspect into it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think many projects, this is just my personal view, but they kind of fail upon creating a good environment for mobile users. And I've actually done the thing you just said regarding bringing the laptop. So I wanted to be part of some NFT mint, and I was going to some family or dinner and so on, and I had to bring my laptop with me to be able to take part of that. So I think that's one of the more interesting aspects of your product as well, just this focus on the mobile side of things. And when it comes to crypto users, do you think that it is is it really like a lack of mobile use there, or are we just like super nerds, everybody, and we're okay with our computers? Maybe it's the
I think
normies that are using the mobile. So what's your take on that?
so. I think we look at it this way, right? In the crypto market now, it's still super early. So the crypto market is almost like how the internet was when it was still young, right? Can you remember like years ago when you were using the internet, it was like not on mobile as well, right? You still go home and use it on your computers, and everyone was totally fine with it. But now user behavior has really changed such that mobile has become an indispensable part of your life, right? Like you need to use things on your mobile, and people are actually used to it. So given on how the internet has evolved, right, from desktop to mobile, and this evolution itself, it's something that really sparked the entire internet boom in the last 10 years, right? So we think that this in the crypto market is going to follow the same evolution curve, right? We are going to move through the same trajectory where we eventually move from desktop to mobile, and that is where you get large amount of user adoption and user time spent. Because I mean, no matter how good your product is, it's just not very possible for people to bring their laptops around to use it in the subway, because it just doesn't work that way. So I think we will follow the same kind of trajectory, and instead of always starting out on utility, purely utility, we want to build at the top of the evolution curve.
Well, that's good. That's good. I like that a lot. I come from the iGaming industry myself, and I saw there like how it went from like PC desktop focus to mobile focus, and those who position themselves with the right timing regarding the mobile focus, they were the one that took like a big chunk of the market share as well, because they kind of like in this meme of mass adoption, that's kind of how like this online casinos got kind of mass adopted within quotes, so to say. It was the mobile use of it. So really healthy approach there. But you have like this thing also with a social aspect to your platform, and there's a lot of people talking about that when it comes to their products. But what does that mean for you guys? The social aspect of it.
So maybe from the social aspect, we can start off with the team background first, right? So the team background, the two co-founders, we used to do investment banking at Goldman Sachs, and basically we used to cover Southeast Asia and China internet companies there. So what we do then, it's we basically bring companies for IPO, we do M&As, private placements, and all kinds of equity and debt structuring deals there. But one thing that came to us, right, especially after we cover all these internet companies, it's the evolution to integrate social into the product, right? And this is something that it's very apparent in the evolution of internet. And why do I say that? It's because, let me just give you an example, right? Now everyone, it's flipping NFTs on each other. It's a NFT. It's kind of like an NFT bull market where everyone mints NFTs and flipping on each other. But I'm not sure how many of you remember back in the days in the 2018, 2019 bear market, where the market sentiment was a lot more bearish, and it's a lot different from the how it is today, right? So by building a sustainable business, building a sustainable platform, it's really about lasting through the bear market itself. And through the bear market, if people don't flip NFTs on each other, there is actually zero reason for you to be using a marketplace, right? If you are not buying or selling, you actually will not even go to any of these marketplaces. So let me just give you an example, right? If you want to buy an NFT, you just go to the marketplace, you search up the NFT, you do the trade, and then you're done, right? So the amount of time you actually spend on the platform itself, it's maybe 5 minutes, right? And if you don't actually trade on the platform, then you don't actually go. So there is no real user stickiness there, and this is very different from how you look at things like Facebook and Instagram, right? Where people just come back for more content, right? And the reason people come back for more content, it's because of the social element. So the social element and the content, content, and the utility all has to feed into each other, right? It needs to be a positive feedback loop where social feeds into the other elements as well to keep people staying on the platform, to keep people continue exploring, continue browsing and sharing. And this is how you create the user engagement and increase the user time spent. And I think this is like one of the main key innovations in Web 2.0. So we are trying to bring like really the most successful and the kind of tested and proven innovations in Web 2.0 over to Web 3.0, and that is what Artemis is doing.
Okay, cool. Well, you briefly mentioned your background there. I'm going to touch upon that shortly, but I would just like to understand when it comes to the social aspect and like social and interact here. I pasted a screenshot from your white paper here in the chat. What would be like do you have an example of how you see people like socializing when they're using your platform? Is it like, are you creating some kind of environment where we can showcase our NFTs and brag about like the NFTs we have, or what's your take on that?
So I think there are various elements to it, and obviously in the future, there's going to be various different functions that is going to build into it, right? But I think the main gist of it, it's really, about allowing people to, share share their NFTs, share their thoughts. So think of it as almost like a Instagram integrated with a marketplace, right? I think I'm not sure if you have this kind of integrated platform elsewhere in your country, but in Asia there is actually a very famous application in Web 2.0 called Red, or in Chinese it's called 小红书. So this is something that we thought is a good analogy to what Artemis is trying to build towards, because in the end, when you buy NFTs, right? Firstly, not everyone. I mean, some people buy it just purely for monetary and flipping on each other, but a lot of time people buy it is because it's cool. You want to flex it to your friends. You have something to talk about to your friends and things like that, right? So it's inherently a very social. NFTs itself is inherently a very social vertical, and I think it would make a lot of sense to really tap on this social aspect to really get people to spend more time, and as well as onboarding normies into crypto as well.
All right, cool. Oh, I can see that happening. I guess most of us have like socials like Instagram, and to be honest, there's a lot of talk of NFTs there. And I think I don't have TikTok, but I think there's a lot of people, discussing NFTs over there as well, right? So you kind of want to tap into that. I really like that approach. I hope you will succeed with that. Especially, going with the mobile route here. I think that's, definitely doable.
I think to add here, I think the main thing, right, it's like, when you engage with marketplaces currently, right, it's just a pure utility. It's a pure utility function, right? You just go in and trade. That's it. And then when you want to find more information about the NFT, engage with the community, things like that, and then you have to go to almost three different places. You have to go to sometimes in Telegram, sometimes you go to Instagram, sometimes you go to Twitter, you go to Discord, and you go to like these multiple places to really dig things about the NFT, right? And I think it's quite it's not a very good user experience in that sense, where if everything is really in one, then you can have your exploration of NFTs and discovery in the same application together with trading. Then I think that is a lot more natural.
That makes sense. And also, like you said as well, like I'm just thinking the way I've been using NFT marketplaces, and it's exactly like you said. Like I go in there, I spend like 1 minute because I kind of already know what I want to get. Just click and then bye-bye. And I don't really browse or anything like that at all. And then many of the cases I just bought NFTs OTC as well. Like, for example, the SMB I have, I didn't even visit a marketplace. So I can definitely see the benefit of that. Looking forward to see how that's going to evolve, like the social aspect of it. Yeah, cool. So you touched upon your background, and I'm sorry, maybe I should have started this talk with asking about your backgrounds and so on, because that's obviously of high interest. But so yeah, like how did you guys get into crypto? Like, have you been in crypto for a long time, or what's your background and connection to crypto?
Yeah, so the team itself, we have been dabbling in crypto since 2016. So, I mean, we've been through the very painful bear market as well there. But I think the reason why we started dabbling in crypto, it's really, we think this is the new frontier of the internet, right? And as investment bankers, we are restricted from trading on everything else, right? So, alternative assets is a way to go for us to really spend time on, to look at, to trade without restrictions. So, I mean, there are various reasons, right? Firstly, it's a restriction on trading equities and other traditional assets. And because of that, we moved into crypto, and then we fall into the entire rabbit hole, and we start researching. We start getting very involved with the crypto community, and since then, the team itself has gotten quite some connections through our previous careers as well. And then when we came out, we decided to start Artemis Market as really to really bring the key learnings from Web 2.0 into Web 3.0 and try to build something that it's something that people will actually use and has longevity in the on the platform itself.
Now I see. Well, since 2016, so there's been a lot of stress and tears involved in that that crypto journey on your end, because I can feel that myself too. It feels like I've aged like 20 years faster than I should have with all the stress and the volatility in the market. Just recently, it looks kind of stressful as well. So. But some NFT projects, interestingly, have done quite well during the latest volatility we've seen. And would be interesting to hear your point of view on that. Is it because of just the liquid markets, or is there a certain community appreciation that leads to some of these NFTs, retaining their price in the sea of blood out there right now?
So I think when we look at this, we look at it through a few angles, right? The first angle, it's the current NFT mint, it's almost like a disguised version of an ICO, right? Back in 2017, when you were filling up Google Forms for ICOs, where then it evolved to launch pads, doing things on like PokerStarter, late last year, and then after that it then evolved to things like NFTs, right? Where you have these primary mints. So I mean, it's really almost like a ICO, and this kind of ICO, IDO, or whatever that you call it, has been in the market since like a long time ago, right? And it has always been happening. So this is just a new medium for people to raise capital. I mean, now it's the hot thing now, and in the future, I would expect that to probably evolve into something else. But I guess the underlying concept it's still the same. So that is the first angle, right? And then the second angle, it's that in something interesting about NFT project is the barrier of entry. It's very, very low. So when we talk about like onboarding normies to layer one, or onboarding the mainstream audience to DeFi itself, is actually very difficult, because comparatively the barrier of entry, it's very high, right? You need to know how to set up wallets. You need to know how to securitize your portfolio. You need to know how to do calculations in terms of emissions, cash flows, and things like that, right? So it's actually not a very easy thing for the mainstream audience to engage with. But NFTs itself, it's very simple, right? It's basically like, I mean, currently the current popular form of NFTs is JPEGs, right? And everyone loves JPEGs because, cool profile pic, it's cute, different applications, and it's also very easy to market, right? We see it starting out from, the Telegram, and then it moved to Twitter and Discord. And then now even you see it on how projects marketing it on TikTok and Instagram, right? Where it moved from a more crypto native audience to a more mainstream native audience. And we already are seeing this evolution already, right? So, I mean, I think it's pretty cool that people are raising capital this way. But I think we also have to be very conscious that, not every project it's going to be a good project, right? And similar to back in the ICO days or IDO or whatever initial offering that you have, right? Most of these projects are probably going to go to zero, right? In a few years' time. And I think you just need to be very conscious about what you're investing in. So as we always say, to our friends, right? Like if you buy the NFT, you better like it, because if it goes to zero, at least if you hold it, you can put it on your Apple Watch and you feel good about it.
Yeah, that's a good take on it. That's a really good take on it. And I firmly believe that the vast majority of NFT projects out there right now, they're gonna go to zero. I see the current environment around the NFT space. It just I see it the same way as how we experienced the ICO hype on Ethereum 2017, right? That's my take on it. Would you agree that we are in a NFT hype environment right now in that sense?
I mean, it is, right? It used to start as something very, unique, right? Where, the first big one that came out was CryptoPunks, and then we have, no, I mean, in this cycle, right, CryptoPunks became very popular, and then, things like Hashmas and BAYC then came out. But I mean, all this at the time, it was still quite novel, right? The idea of it is still pretty novel. But then as you see now, right, every day there is 100 different NFT projects coming out. You go to there almost every there's a lot of my mainstream friends, right? Like they're doing their day jobs, but on the side they want to do an NFT project as well. You are seeing NFT projects coming in the news, about talking about people who left their full-time jobs to engage fully in an NFT project and things like that, right? So I mean, it has become a lot more mainstream. There have become a lot of projects there, but then it also means that you need to be a lot more discerning, right? Because how it normally follows, it's always it always start with innovators, and then it moves to people who copy imitators, right? And then the last section where it moves is then what we call the idiots, right? So it's always imitators, and then the idiots, right? Where people just brainlessly fork, right? So I mean, I think, for lack of better word, that is normally how we think the evolution of every market, right? It always moves through the same cycle.
Yeah, I think most of us who have Discord is getting spammed, I think every day, more than once, about some new NFT minting, and they're all identical. And that's one of the gripes I have with how things looks like around the NFT scene, so to say, right now. It's all just copycats in a way. No pun intended, copycat. I know you're listening, but everybody's just copying. So that brings me actually to one part of your white paper that I found actually really interesting. I'm gonna share a screenshot from that in the chat so the listeners can also see what I mean. So Artemis ticketing, premieres, concerts, concert tickets, sports events, and so on. I think the future of NFTs is going to involve a lot of loyalty programs and ticketing systems and so on. And are you seeing people from legacy perhaps even looking into solutions around NFTs for their concert tickets and so on?
So I think let's start from how do we think about NFTs, right? So when we think about NFTs, I mean, we think about it as NFT, it's a technology that empowers you to express an idea, right? So unlike most of the people in the mainstream audience, when they think about NFTs, all they think about it's profile pictures and JPEGs, right? But profile pictures, JPEG, digital art is really just the lowest hanging fruit of using NFT technology. And NFT technology itself can be then used in a lot of real life applications, right? And an example on what we're trying to build on Artemis, it's really, when you think about getting real adoption, right? You think about it in terms of, bringing more people into crypto itself. So NFT as a medium to bring people in crypto. And, when you onboard people actually don't really care, what is the technology in the background, right? In the end, they just want a very good user experience. They just want everything to be, very flawlessly done, right? So what we aim to create, right? It's really a mainstream native application, but on the back end, it's backed by blockchain technology, and that's intrinsically what we're trying to do. So when we look at ticketing, for example, right? What if I told you that ticketing itself can, NFT itself can really change the ticketing scene, right? And what I mean by that, it's, let's say, have you ever experienced when you want to go to let's say Ed Sheeran concert, right? And then it's supposed to go on sale at 8 p.m. And then by the time you go 8 p.m., you refresh the page, you realize that the page has crashed, and then like 10 minutes later, the page has that you can enter the page, right? And then you realize that all the tickets are sold out. And then after that, you go to the secondary market and buy, a ticket for 5 times the price.
And then been there, done that.
Yeah. And then during the concert day, you go to the entrance, and then the ticket doorman then tells you, okay, sorry guys, I know you have this ticket, but this ticket is actually not authentic, so you're actually not allowed in. So I mean, there's the main issues about ticketing. It's firstly about black market scalping, right? And the second, it's really provenance. So how NFT solves it is, if you have an NFT sale for tickets, for example, firstly, right, through smart contract, even if you really wanted to, you can basically stop all black markets secondary scalping. That is the first thing you can do. And secondly, if you have the NFT on your Artemis application itself, right, you go to the door itself and then you sign a transaction that basically, you have the NFT in your wallet, you sign the transaction, and then that gives you entry to the concert, right? So this is a proof of concept for ticketing, right? And obviously these can be applied to a lot of scenarios. It can be sports events, it can be MMA events, it can be a lot of other ticketing things, right? And the good thing about ticketing, it's really renewable, right? So every year, there are new things that comes up, there are new concerts, there are new things that come up. So when we talk about the sustainability of the platform itself, like this is what we think it's a sustainable business model. And then moving on to just things like selling experiences and fine wine, where we have redeemable physical goods. I mean, Artemis itself, we are already in talks with certain luxury brands and other partners itself to really get this moving on. So this would kind of be something in 2Q 2022 this year, where we will try to implement on Artemis itself.
That's really cool, because I think that's, from my perspective at least, that's one of the things that makes you guys stand out there when it comes to different NFT marketplaces. With this kind of focus on like non-PFP things and more like future use of NFTs that I think is often overlooked. But connected to that, there are a lot of different NFT marketplaces out there already. And if you could just like quickly sum it up, what would be the biggest differentiator between what you guys are doing and the existing like main NFT marketplaces out there right now?
So where we see ourselves in the midterm, right, it's really about social, right? So social, it's going to be so social and mobile element, it's really going to be the differentiator. But in the longer term, snatching the pie from the digital art market is really not what we are trying to do here, right? Like we are trying to basically expand the entire addressable market for NFTs by onboarding the mainstream audience into NFTs, into crypto itself through NFT as a medium, right? And then we are going into real world use cases to put in place these so-called NFT technology applications, right? So I think in the end, the kind of market that we are targeting, it's quite different. We are not really just about listing PFP projects and really just all about digital art trading.
Yeah, I think it's evident that is a clear distinction there, at least from my point of view. So when it comes to Solana and the Solana blockchain, obviously you're building on Solana, and also you're discussing with us here at Marinade. So that probably means that you have some kind of views on supporting the network overall as well. The plans of you guys using mSOL as, I suppose, part of this perspective. So with the use of mSOL, like why did you guys look into that, and where do you see, like, how do you see mSOL bringing strength to Artemis? Is it just the centralization aspect, or is there more to it?
So mSOL itself, mSOL itself is a token that basically acts as a receipt for staking your SOL in the network, right? And I think firstly, you're right. It's about decentralizing the network. We are all about decentralization as well, and we want to secure the network through this movement, right? But for this to really take off, then mSOL needs to be really accepted by applications elsewhere. It needs to be accepted by the ecosystem and be used broadly in the ecosystem for people to be incentivized to really use mSOL, right? And if mSOL it's really as usable as Solana itself, then I don't see why would anyone not do that, right? Because that is just it is just from an NPV perspective positive for every single one. So for us in supporting mSOL itself, we really want to increase the use cases of mSOL, and as well as as we look to onboard more mainstream users into crypto itself, we want to introduce this to the mainstream users and really ramp up the kind of adoption that we see, right? And this all then adds up into our shared vision of really decentralizing the network itself.
Cool. Yeah, I think that at this stage, utilizing mSOL is kind of a stamp of we are decentralizers, and we're actively working towards that. So, well, from my end, obviously, I like hearing what you're saying regarding mSOL, but I am super biased. But I mean, it's clear that mSOL is a big decentralizing factor, and also helping the growth of the network too, as we delegate to new and young validators as well in our delegation strategy. Okay, so we'll at 31 minutes here into this AMA session. But I have 2 more questions I would like to address before we go to the questions from the community here. And you guys are pretty young, and I suppose that you guys are planning to have a token also connected to your marketplace. So with that said, and with the token in mind, where is Artemis Market in, let's say, in a year, next year, 2023?
So I think, yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. We are planning for a token as well. But the token itself would then be sometime this year, right? So keep your eyes peeled for further developments for Artemis. The token will come sometime this year.
Cool. And are you planning to do anything DAO related with that as well?
So I think we are currently still putting together our thoughts and really try to finalize the kind of structure that we want to do. But I think we can probably expect it sometime this year. I mean, no alpha leak, but not sure when yet. But sometime this year.
Yeah, well, I think I said that in another AMA session. It's important not to stress implementing a DAO, just so everything is just nicely organized, and the right sort of processes and mentality around the token exists prior to doing that. So it makes sense, not to stress it, just go a little bit with the flow. I think, in my opinion. Okay, cool. And then additionally, I can see I'm looking at your white paper right now, and for the audience, you guys find the white paper on their website, artemismarket.io. And there is some heavy backers here around Artemis Market, such as the famous Alameda Research. We also have Blue Pool Capital, Moonvault, and so on. So do you have any alpha perhaps to share regarding their perspective of the future of NFTs in general, and not particularly about your platform, but just their views of NFTs and NFT marketplaces in general? And do you have something to share related to that?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you guys noticed, through our lead backers itself, it's not only full crypto native people, right? So I mean, we have the people like Alameda, who is going to open a lot of connections and open the ecosystem on the Solana side for us. But we do also have people like Blue Pool Capital, right? I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but Blue Pool, it's basically the family office for Alibaba, right? So that is Joe Tsai, and I'm not sure if you've seen his recent I Love Crypto post, but this guy is also, the Blue Pool itself is now pivoting into crypto and is trying to utilize the they are the owner of the Brooklyn Nets as well. So they have some real assets that we think that we can leverage on. So I I think for us, our backers itself is kind of a balance where we seek a balance to really get some backing from both the crypto side and the real world, in the sense that our market audience, our target audience is really not just crypto users, but also to bring in people from mainstream side into crypto. So I think this is where we are coming from, and obviously, we are also quite selective in terms of who we want, especially in our seed backing round, because I think this really sets a good foundation for us to build further with the project.
Well, that's a little bit of mind-blowing. I did not know that. That's very interesting to hear. And I suppose it ties into what we discussed previously, about trying to tap into, this broader use cases around NFTs with tickets and traditional goods and so on. That's really cool. Okay. So what about the lottery, Iris? Do you think we should go ahead with that one?
Yeah.
Let's go with the lottery. So I'll need to find a suitable emoji that we could paste here. Okay, I'm just going to make it really simple for me. I'm going to paste N for NFTs. Boom. And all the marinators, just paste the N. Okay, it's not really loading for me here. N for NFTs. There we go. Just paste that one. That means that you will get a lottery ticket, and we'll do the thing of that wheel of names. And the one who's lucky will win some MND tokens. And I said 200 tokens earlier, I believe. So it's 200 tokens at stake. So just paste that emoji. You will be part of the lottery. If you have the Marinade roll, that is. And if you don't have the Marinade roll, you can just go to the Verify MND channel underneath the MDAO Access section. And there you can just follow the steps. You only need 20 MND tokens in your wallet to acquire the roll. So we're going to look through everybody who posted this emoji in the end of the saving. And so you'll still have some time to acquire the roll. Ooh, we got a saber emoji there from Fancy 4. That's the wrong emoji, man. We have some really cool and very thought out questions here as well. I'm really looking forward to address those from 0x Sane. And we have some from Bytech, a good steward here. Prodromo, bro, you're always dropping these really good questions, man. Yeah, we're seeing some ends dropping in here in the chat. Awesome. Iris, is there something that you would like to add to our little talk here prior to us moving forward to the questions here from the listeners?
Yeah, so we are currently building the product, and actually Artemis is going to be live quite soon. So keep your eyes peeled, and then for the first from launch until February, the end of February, we are actually going to set the transaction fee at 0. So anyone can trade their NFTs there all for free. It's going to be a free marketplace till the end of February, right? So if you have anything that you want to list for sale, do anything that you want to trade with other people, you are free to just go to Artemis itself, get your things listed and get it traded, and it's all going to be 0 fees.
0 fees. We like that. Is it like 0 listing fee as well?
So it's 0 listing fee and 0 transaction fee. So the only thing that you'll be paying, it's creator royalty, if any. So this is going to be something that we will run until the end of February.
Okay, nice. What's the date that you guys are launching?
So it's going to be launched very, 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 very soon. Like it's going to be this month. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, we gotta keep our eyes open for that one. I'm really looking forward to this launch. This thing that you guys are building has kind of the perspective of marketplaces that I would like to see related to NFTs. But this is just my personal take. It doesn't represent anything else than Cryptic's take on it. Cool. I guess you'll let us know once things are getting closer, so we can let the marinators know that it's time to look into Artemis Market once you're live. Wow. With that said, let's address one of the questions here while the ends for NFT are dropping in to the chat. and I'm just scrolling up here. Aris, I'm going to paste the link to the question I'm talking about, just in case I'm explaining the question in a bad way. So we'll start with, let's see, Xerexane. Copy message link. There we go. So that's the first question, and it is as follows. I think the mobile-first application makes sense, especially considering the timelines of Phantom rolling out on iOS in the coming weeks. However, given Apple's take on rate on digital good, do you think? How do you plan to incorporate their 30% tariff on digital sales via iOS apps? And that is a great question. How are you guys thinking about that, Aris?
Yeah, so for iOS, they basically, this kind of iOS, they basically take a take rate for whatever that has been transacted, right? And in the traditional sense. But I think for crypto itself, it's a little different. I think there is a way around it to structure it properly because, in a sense that, it is really a push and pull to when discussing with the Apple guys, right? Because firstly, crypto cannot be properly tracked like how credit card spending is tracked, right? And then that it's good for crypto platforms, but on the flip side, right, it's then they might they might basically reject your application to be listed on iOS, right? So it is really about a push and pull and a negotiation on how do we want to structure this. But I think as of now, I think we are currently in quite good standing with regards to getting our application out.
Okay, and the 30% tariff is not a big issue in your opinion?
It is a real issue. Thanks for the question. It is actually an issue, but I think for us, it's as where we stand in our discussions. I don't think that this will pose a huge problem to us. It is actually a big issue in terms of how we look at crypto going mobile.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, 30%. To me, I didn't know about this. 30% sounds a lot, to be honest. Snap. Anyway, okay, that's a great reply to that question, in my opinion. So let's move forward with the next one. This is from Prodromo. I think you won 2 or 3 times best question in the AMAs. So let's see if you score this time as well. And I'll paste the link to the question. And it is as follows. I understand the unique selling point of Artemis with a focus on mobile and social interaction. At the same time, we're seeing a big increase in separate NFT marketplace platforms with collection of them listed on more than one and making it difficult to find the right platform and best price. Do Artemis see an NFT marketplace evolve towards an aggregator, such as Jupiter, for an NFT market?
Yeah, okay. So I think for this question, right, I think the market will have to come out with an aggregator, right? Somebody will basically build an aggregator for this, but I think on the aggregator play, it's not something that we want to do. We are okay for things to be listed in separate marketplaces because after all, this is all decentralization, right? There is no real exclusivity as per se. But I think the real thesis about us moving on to real life use cases, right? I think that it's really what makes the difference because for us, we are not really, trying. For now, we are going to be focusing on getting these kind of collections listed on Artemis itself to bootstrap the growth. But in the longer run, right, this is not something that we are really truly being focused on, right? We are really more focused on expanding the pie and bringing people on board for real life applications. So in that sense, then I think there is a very unique there is a very unique positioning for where Artemis is rather than just being one of another 100 marketplaces.
Interesting. So you do think there's going to be certain aggregator solutions to NFTs or NFT marketplaces?
I think even if there isn't a true aggregator solution, then there probably is going to be a kind of analytics provider that then aggregate data across everything, and then people can go to some specific marketplace to bid for certain things, right? But I think this is just a natural thing. We've seen that happening for fungible tokens, and it's definitely going to happen for NFTs.
Cool. Is there any? You mentioned like some certain tools that gathers data and so on this different NFT marketplaces. Is there any existing tool like that you think that our listeners should look into?
Yeah, so I mean there are quite a few tools, but obviously these are really separated across they're separated across different chains, right? Some cover more chains, some cover less chains, some cover ETH, some cover Solana. But I mean, for me itself, there is no very reliable aggregator analytics tool that I would say exists now. So maybe somebody will probably build it in the future, because in the end, I also think that the future will be cross-chain. But for now, I mean, there are some things like IC tools and things like that people can really just look at to, look at some NFT projects. But I mean, I think it's just more work on the buyer's part to, do more research rather than have a very all-in-one kind of application to just search across all chains and search across basically all marketplaces.
Yeah, I'm not like the NFT focus guy here, but I've been looking around for some kind of tools that would help me understand things better. But so far, no luck. If any of the audience knows a tool, just drop the link in the chat here. That would be helpful. But I'm not sure if this exists, to be honest. But okay, that's a really great reply to that question. And we'll proceed with question number 3 here. And this is a good one, I think, from Timton. And it is as follows. If a person who's not familiar with your project, how does he understand like the need for your project? How would we briefly explain Artemis to him?
So I think what I would tell him is basically we are going to be a mobile first and socially integrated NFT platform, right? So this is in short what we stand for. And then for people who are not familiar with the project, then they are probably not, it's a high likelihood that they are probably not familiar with NFTs in the first place, right? And then what I would tell them is it's basically NFT would be something that would disrupt, that's going to disrupt certain real life applications, disrupt certain verticals there. And this is something that they can look forward to if they want to be at the frontier of technology.
That's a good summary. Thanks for that. I'm going to listen to the recording afterwards and borrow that one from you, because I expect me to discuss your project with friends of mine. Okay, so let's move forward to the next question here, and we have one from Chain Guys. That's question number 4, right? Let's see. Question number 4 is yes. It is. So from Chain Guys. I want to ask, too many NFTs has no liquidation. Is there any mechanism that Artemis has designed to deal with liquidations?
What do you mean with NFTs with no liquidation? You mean
I suppose they actually mean liquidity. Is there any like mechanism around securing liquidity for different NFTs, or is this something that you guys are not focusing on?
I think for NFT liquidity, how we think about it, it's really, unlike fungible tokens, it's really buy and sell, right? So it's really about supply and demand, and it has to be 1 or 0, right? So I think in the future there would be, I'm also a very strong DeFi guy. So other than NFTs, I actually am quite involved in the whole DeFi ecosystem itself. So DeFi applications can basically be applied to NFTs, right? If there is certain kind of fractionalization, then, although the price is going to go to 0 if there is no liquidity, but at least, there is a pool for everybody to sell into, right? So it's almost similar to one of those, fungible tokens that basically, you launch and then no one buys it, and then it slowly just tanks 90% like every day, right? So I don't think there's any real way around liquidity, because it's always just buyer and a seller market, but it's just how we think about structurally, right? So NFT markets now, if you have no liquidity and you can't sell your thing, it's basically 1 or 0. But if you have certain kind of fractionalization and certain kind of DeFi pool that you can sell into, right? Then basically maybe instead of from 1 to 0, it's like 1 to 0.1. So I don't think there's any way around it. It's just really supply.
Yeah, I totally get your point. It's interesting to see, like in the future, how what would be the wording, like fracturing like NFTs, how that will play out as well. Maybe that will help with liquidity. I'm not sure, but it's going to be interesting to see. It's cool that you touch upon that as well. Okay, cool. So let's move forward to question number 5. The question number 5 is in the chat. And this one is another one from Zurich saying, this was a really good question as well. I like that one. I'm going to try to read it. And it's as follows. I love the mission to grow overall access /TAM for NFTs. However, case studies from gaming companies has indicated that you can increase user purchasing frequency /order value by disintermediating the value of purchase and their fiat-backed currency. On the other hand, creating an on-ramp to purchase via credit card /USDC would help address the complexity associated with getting crypto in your wallet, which is likely a pain point for your target customer. So how do you plan to navigate this behavioral psychology to choose what payment method and tokens to denominate sales in? It's a really good question.
So for this, I think there's 3 parts of it. Let me just answer the first part first. So on this intermediating, right? So I guess you mean like instead of let's say purchasing a NFT with SOL, you purchase it in Artemis token instead, right? But I think firstly, we don't really believe in something like that because it kind of defeats the purpose of having a token, right? If the token's main point is just to increase an additional step. I think this is very similar to what we see in 2017, where you have a ton of e-commerce, so-called e-commerce crypto platforms that they are basically eBay fork, but instead of purchasing with USD, you just purchase in their native token itself. So it's just an additional step that is, I think, totally unnecessary to have it, right? So I think the main question when we talk about a token, it's whether, if I can run this platform without a token, then why would I need a token, right? So I think this is the first part. So we are actually not very keen on doing something like that. On the second part, creating an on-ramp. So I think this is where you are very right. So we are actually in talks with having a fiat on-ramp to onboard really the mainstream audience into it. So I think the announcement is probably going to come sometime in 1Q. So keep you can keep your eyes peeled for basically the announcement on that. USDC, yes. Similar to how USDC itself is just another SPL token. So this is something that we are also thinking of because point in question, it's when you have certain NFT creators from the traditional world, let's say wine creator or winemaker, for example, right? And a winemaker actually only wants USD rather than having to take the beta risk on Solana, for example. Then this is something that we definitely have to support, not only on the customer side but really on the supplier side as well, right? The third part, how do you plan to navigate? Okay, I think this is really up to the sellers instead, right? Like we will give the opportunity for people to select whether. We are going to launch in SOL first, but in the near future, we will enable certain SPL tokens like USDC, mSOL, right? So really, it's dependent on the seller itself. If you want to sell it in USDC, you actually can, but I don't think it really makes a difference in terms of behavioral psychology, right? Because in the end, when people purchase things, especially from the crypto crowd itself, right? They buy basically Solana on Solana and ETH on Ethereum chain itself, right? It's actually not a very common thing to make USDC purchases on OpenSea, but I know there are some purchases there, but it's actually not a very common thing to do. So it's really about creating a more flexible environment for both the sellers as well as the so-called buyers as well.
Well said there. I like the take on USDC. I can see it the same way as well. It's really interesting to hear that you already are in the works with creating a fiat on-ramp or payment gateway like that. So that is definitely pretty bullish news, in my opinion. Don't think there's any existing NFT marketplace that has this. So it ties well with your goals of trying to court like the world outside of crypto as well. It's really cool to hear. So let's find another question here. And we have one from Edward 1988. Edward, were you born 88? Is that the thing? Anyways, so The question is, well, I'm going to drop the link first, and it's the question number 6. Sometimes we can see NFT projects rug pull. How would Artemis help users to screen out unreliable projects on Artemis Market? Have you any thoughts around that, Aris?
So I think this is an interesting question, but I think we want to go back to the point on decentralization, right? On decentralization, basically there should be no one really gatekeeping, right? So I think if you bring this back to the fungible token market itself, right? It's, for example, like Binance, right? Like, how would you get your token listed on Binance? The thing is, you can't, right? You need to go through this whole long process of applying to a centralized exchange, and then they do all the vetting, and then you get listed on Binance, and that doesn't even guarantee that the project would not rug, right? So I think it's a very it's very difficult for us to be able to screen every single project that has been coming out. But obviously, I mean, we take a look at whether obviously this is something like really scammy or not. But I think Artemis itself cannot be the party that is going to undertake or underwrite the project's credibility. I don't think this is something that we can do. So always do your own research, do your own due diligence as well. Yeah, don't just ape in and then when it goes to zero, then you start to do your research to find out why.
Well said. I think it's difficult to assume that NFT marketplaces will be some kind of like auditor as well when it comes to their listings and so on. Like, we need to understand that we're living in we're trying to do like a totally decentralized solutions. So
yeah, I mean, even in the auditors, the code audit itself, right? Like, when you look at code audit, like, I mean, there are tons of projects being audited by people like, let's say, Certic, for example, right? And it still get exploited like a lot. So the question is, when you get exploited, there is also no recourse to the people who suffer from the exploit, right? So I think it's how you think about centralized versus decentralized. When you think about centralized markets, actual equity itself, when something goes wrong with the equity, you have certain recourse, you can sue the company and things like that. But in the decentralized world, obviously, decentralization comes with its own pain points as well.
Yeah, well said. Decentralization means more like people just have to take more responsibility of their own decisions instead of putting that to other people. So with that said, I think that was a great reply to that question, and we're getting real close to the 1 hour mark. So let's try to wrap this up. Do you have anything more to add, Aris, before we'll move forward to the last contest here about the best question?
Yeah, I mean, I think thanks to everyone who participated in this AMA. I think the questions are very good questions. I hope this session itself has been useful in helping you understand what we are trying to do here and what we are planning to do going forward. Personally, although I might be extremely biased, but I'm extremely excited about the roadmap and excited about how this would play out in the future. And we really welcome all of you to continue to support Artemis and monitor our progress. And if you have any feedback, feel free to just shoot it over to us. If you have any suggestions, please shoot over to us. The team itself is very open. We like to hear feedback, suggestions, proposals from people that we can really integrate, right? Because in the end, decentralization is all about the whack me culture, right? If everyone helps each other, then everyone make it together. So yeah, thanks for participating.
Cool, and thank you for educating us about the NFT space. I've personally learned a lot during this hour, so I'm grateful for you taking your time to do this. And also, I'm super grateful for you guys supporting decentralization and security on Solana by working with Marinade's mSOL. It's important to have that aspect to it as well. And it's not only decentralization; it's also supporting DeFi growth with mSOL, and additionally, we're also supporting, like I said earlier in the AMA, new and young validators with our delegation strategy. So we and also Artemis Market now in the future supporting the growth of the Solana network too. So with that said, I'm going to paste all the questions we've addressed here, and then Aris, you pick the best one, and the best one will win this NFT. And perhaps you could also quickly explain what kind of NFT is it we're talking about here.
Okay, so we have 6 questions. Okay, so let's talk about NFT first, right? So NFT is going to be one of our partners. It's going to be a Me Colony NFT that we got from the partner. So we'll be distributing these Me Colony NFTs to one of you guys. Yeah. So sorry, my memory is a bit short, so let me just look at the question.
Yeah. So, well, I saw the prior to the AMA, I saw the NFTs from this Me Colony project, and it's pixel art, and I fucking love pixel art myself. So yeah, they're looking cool. So let's see which question you enjoyed the most, Aris, because there were several really well thought out questions.
So I actually think that the price will be going to 0x Zane.
0x Zane, but he did ask some really heavy duty questions, right? Which question was it that caught your attention?
So I actually personally like heavy duty questions because heavy duty questions then has opportunity to really talk more and discuss our thoughts. So I mean, I generally like 0x Zane's question, especially the one on the I think that's question. Is that question 5? I think that's question 5. Yeah, especially question 5 because I think this is very. I think question 5 itself it's very thoughtful, right? In the sense that how we think about really integrating this into the real world use cases itself. And yeah, I mean, I just generally like discussing things like that, right? Because every time when we talk about NFTs with your friends, everyone just talks about PFPs, everyone just talks about digital art, right? So I think I really appreciate discussion out of that into something more thoughtful in terms of really utilizing NFT technology.
Well said. Well said. Derek saying, big brains, man. Great question. Thanks for that. And congratulations to the Me Colony NFT that will send your way after the AMA is concluded. And regarding the lottery we did with the emoji, the N emoji, N for NFTs, you guys got to give me like 15, 20 minutes after the AMA to just do everything. And I will update the AMA Artemis Market chat here with the winner of the 200 MNDE tokens. So I guess we'll just wrap it up then, Aris. Thanks a lot for coming here and explaining these things and also educating us about NFTs and the future of NFTs. It's been great. I'm glad to have you aboard here and looking forward to working more with you guys in the future.
Yep, same too. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. And thank you, everybody who's been listening. The recording will be up on YouTube probably tomorrow or, within 48 hours, let's say it like that. So thanks, everybody. Take care and stay safe out there. Bye-bye.